Welcome to Wild the podcast, where we love having inspiring, uplifting, empowering conversations live on air. Wild the podcast airs live on Just TV, Meta TV, 24/7 Roku TV, NCG Television Network, JessFM.ca, and SHH101.ca. Wild the podcast is sponsored by Wild the nonprofit with a mission to eradicate domestic violence through storytelling and sponsored by Wild Press and Wild Homes and Gardens magazine. I'm your host, Diana Kouprina, and this evening our guest is the inspiring Betsy Wurzel. Betsy is a mental health advocate, caregiver advocate, Alzheimer's advocate, and an advocate for people with disabilities. She is the creator and founder of the Kick Alzheimer's Ass movement and serves as a moderator and administrator for several caregiver support communities. In 2021, Betsy was honored with the Caregiving Visionary Advocate Caregiver Award from caregiving.com in recognition of her dedication to supporting caregivers and raising awareness about Alzheimer's disease. Through her lived experience, Betsy demonstrates that it is possible not only to survive caregiving, but to thrive beyond it. She believes in integrating grief with living and embraces each day with renewed purpose, gratitude, and deep appreciation for life. Betsy, thank you so much for joining Wild the podcast. You're so inspiring. I'm so honored to have you here and to chat
Hi,
with
Diane.
you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about being on here and sharing whatever you like for me to share.
Well, I'd like to just dive in and actually go back to, I know you're a survivor, so I wanted to kind of dive back into your childhood and what you've been through, and then we can jump into discussing everything
Sure.
you do as a caregiver.
My childhood is painful, was painful. I was the scapegoat. Don't
Yeah.
know why, but I was the scapegoat. I was the third out of four, and I always got blamed for everything. Um, and I realize now that I think my mother was directing a lot of her anger and unhappiness onto me for some reason. My mother pretended to be happy. I don't really think she was now that I think about it because of the things that she had said. My dad told me that I was ugly. I
I'm
was
so
born
sorry.
ugly.
That is
Thank
so
you.
painful.
He made fun of me, my body. As a teenage girl, you're developing, you're very self conscious of your body.
Oh, so
And
self-conscious. Yeah.
yeah, yes, he made fun of my development. He said inappropriate sexual things to me. And my mother wouldn't do anything about it. Um, she justified it. And back then, that's what they did. Oh, well, he's good to me. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't beat me. Oh, so then it's okay for him to abuse. And he
Right.
didn't just abuse me, Diana. He emotionally abused my older brother, who had some issues. Excuse me. My older sister, he would make fun of her weight. She was the fat one. I was the ugly one.
That's horrible.
And yeah, what parents don't realize is when you do that to a child, you are grooming them for accepting whatever love comes their way and to be a people pleaser, which is what I
Hmm.
was, and
Yeah.
to constantly, give and give so people would like me.
Hmm.
And I found it very difficult to make friends.
Yeah.
Um,
I can
I,
understand that. Yeah.
and to trust people because who were the first people that I learned not to trust was unfortunately my parents. Sad to say, but it's true. Excuse me. I have asthma. Excuse me.
Okay.
It's very true. My mom would send me mixed messages. She'd say, "Oh, Betsy, I'm your friend. You could come talk to me about any problem." So I believed her. So I would go talk to her about what was a problem for me. And then she would tell my father I was aggravating her. Then my dad would say, "Don't aggravate your mother." So then I realized, well, I can't talk to her about anything. So
No,
then I
because
didn't.
yeah, absolutely. How can you? It gets you
Yeah,
almost in trouble, right? It's your there's
exactly.
discomfort and saying trust me, but then you get in trouble for it. So how are you
Yes.
able to say anything?
I had a lot of self-esteem issues. I did not like myself. I actually, at the age of 10, 9 or 10, I thought of suicide. Thankfully, I didn't do it
That's such a young age
because,
to be considering that. That is
yeah,
such a young
because,
age. My daughter is 11. I can't imagine um, her having any of those thoughts. You're so young to be
yeah,
contemplating.
I thought nobody loved me. I felt that I wasn't loved. I felt that I wasn't wanted. And uh, my younger brother, he was a golden child. There's 6 years difference between me and my younger brother. And my father told my younger brother, I can't even believe he would say this, but he said, "Your mother didn't want you. She tried to get rid of you. I wanted you." Can you imagine saying that to your child?
No, no, that is
That, that is horrible.
that is horrible. Absolutely, absolutely horrible. And what it does to a child, it's just soul crushing. It kills the it crushes the soul, and I think it does
Yeah,
that quite literally.
it really does. And, you know, because I got blamed for everything, and then in my adult life, if something went wrong, I felt, oh, that's my fault.
Yeah,
And the mentality, you know how parents triangulate and I think this is horrible when parents talk bad about another child,
yeah, yeah,
and they pit one up against the other.
yes, yeah.
I think that's just terrible. And that's what they did. That's what my parents did. My son who has a cognitive disability.
Hmm.
When I found out, my younger brother called me up, Diana, and said to me, "What did you do wrong?"
Oh wow.
Who does that? I mean, why would
No,
you
I'm
even
sorry.
say that to someone? But then, and I didn't realize it until really recently. It dawned on me. Sure, he said that because that's what he was told about me.
Yeah,
He
and
was
that's what he
told,
was brought up hearing. So
yeah,
obviously, this was something you did wrong in his mind,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And you have enough guilt as a parent. I felt guilty.
Hmm.
Like, what did I do wrong when I was pregnant? That my child has a disability. I didn't do anything wrong. And my son is such a blessing. I'm gonna get choked up. Um, my parents used to say to me, "Betsy, we hope you, when you have children, they're no better or worse than you, so you know the aggravation that you gave us." Well, I think I was
Hmm.
a pretty good kid. But what it was, Diane, is I spoke the truth.
Yeah,
I called out the abuse. My son is such a blessing. He was great with his dad and caregiving. And I'm very proud of Josh. Josh was proud to be a caregiver. He was the first grandchild for my parents. And, they loved him, they paid attention to him. But then when my younger brother had children, then he got ignored. And then when they
hmm,
moved down to South Jersey, this is sad. They moved down to South Jersey, and my mother, we had an 80th birthday party for my dad. They must have been there about 5 years at that time, down where they lived. And someone asked Josh, "Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm their grandson." And the guy looked at him and he said, "Really? I didn't know they had a grandson. They never talk about you. They just talk about their granddaughters." I
That's
felt so
hard.
bad.
Yeah, that is
I
hard.
felt
And
really
for him to
bad.
hear that, that is really not fair. It's
It's not.
is
And
mildly put, I would say. There's other words that come to mind. I'm just not gonna say them, but mildly put, that is incredibly unfair to hear something like that and heartbreaking.
it's, it was very hurtful for Josh. And that was like the first instant when my dad was in a rehab. My mom said, "Oh, these are my granddaughters I always talk about." Josh is right there. She doesn't even acknowledge him. I said, "And this is her grandson." I want to say who I'm sure she doesn't talk about. But I told Josh, I said, "Josh, I know it hurts you. And I hurt knowing that you hurt.
Yeah,
But I want you to know you're just as good as your cousins. You ought to be proud of who you are. You're a good person. It's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on grandma and grandpa, not on you."
yeah.
I wanted him to know that he has worth.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely. And that is so
yeah,
important. And the fact that you as a mother did not repeat your parents' mistakes, that is
I, I,
truly inspiring. What helped you have that switch?
you know what? I caught myself when Josh was very young. He was in preschool, and he was getting ready for preschool, and I caught myself saying something to him that was not nice, and I went, "Oh, Betsy, you're sounding like your parents." I got so upset. I said, "That will never come out of my mouth again." He didn't. He didn't remember. He
Yeah,
doesn't remember it. Thank God that he doesn't. And I said, "No, cycle's breaking now. I'm not doing this. I will not do this." And I realized I will not make that mistake. I'm not going to make my child feel bad for things he cannot control. That's not his fault. And I learned so much, um, Diana, from having a child, well, he's an adult now, with disabilities, how loving they are. I mean, he had more patience with his dad than I did sometimes. um, and he was really so proud to be a caregiver. And I'm so glad that I have a great relationship with Josh, that he knows he could come to me and he
hmm
could talk about anything.
that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That is,
You
yeah, I
know,
mean, that is inspiring and just
I
amazing
mean,
to
we,
just hear it too, because you've come so far and to have, to have this empathy and this compassion, um, and just love for your child is just, it's beautiful. Thank you
we
for
talk
sharing.
about everything. And what I think, um, in today's world, I mean, it's getting better with mental health, more being getting mental health care is more acceptable now than it was
Yeah.
back in the 70s and 80s, even the 90s. But I told my son, because we talked about unaliving yourself,
hmm
because he knew someone who did that, a police officer that he knew. And I've talked about that. When his dad was dying, we discussed that. And we need to raise boys in an environment that supports them emotionally when they have a problem.
Yeah.
And children, whether they're boys or girls, as a parent, you want that line of communication open. You
Oh,
don't want them
absolutely.
to, go to people who will not give them great advice or advice you wouldn't approve of. This is how kids join gangs.
Yeah.
and go and get into trouble because the communication a lot of times is shut off. I mean, I
They're
didn't
not
go.
heard at
It wasn't.
home. The
You're right.
doors are not open. Hearts are not
Right.
open. They're just not heard. So what are you going to do? And the more you fall into that cycle, which I personally did fall into too, where you just feel worthless or you feel ugly when you look in the mirror and you're just
Hmm.
chasing these crumbs and just of anyone just kind of even that looks at you or throws a little crumb down and you just begin to chase it because there's no worth. So of course it all just it really goes downhill.
Yeah.
And it's hard
Uh,
to bring yourself up after that. How were you able to find your worth?
you know what? It took me, sad to say, but better late than never. It took me age 60. I'm 68. And it took me in my sixth decade of life to find my worth. And it's really because of my husband's Alzheimer's, which is ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. How
It
did that
really,
happen for you?
you know what? I am not one to be in the limelight, but when Matt, that's my husband's name was Matt, had, started with his journey with early onset, I didn't have support. And I joined support groups on Facebook
Hmm.
2014. I got a smartphone 2017, excuse me, and say, you know what? I'm going to go in my car and do a video. Who's going to listen to me? Nobody listens to me. And I went and I just, way before everyone else was in their car doing videos, like now everyone is in their
Yeah,
car.
that's true.
This is back in 2017 when nobody was doing it. And I just would say how I felt. Would talk about caregiving and Alzheimer's. I'd video Matt, and I put it out to the support groups that I was in.
Hmm.
And lo and behold, I was getting responses, which blew my mind. But I realized that with Matt's journey, I'm stronger than I ever thought possible. I have gifts. I have a voice.
Hmm.
I am, I'm an empath. I feel for people.
Yeah.
Um, and I care about people. People told me, Betsy, you're a great listener. They feel inspired when they hear me talk. I just could not. I was just overwhelmed by people's responses. It was just overwhelming because my own family wouldn't listen to me. Um,
And then to be heard by others, that is so poignant
yeah,
in really reclaiming that voice and whatever in eliminating the worthlessness you must have dealt with for so long.
yeah, and it was really hard. Like even, I had a podcast for 6 years, um, and I thought I don't belong, talking to people. Do they really want to talk to me? Why? Why would they want to talk to me? And I was just had this imposter syndrome
Hmm.
for for a long time. But I'm really grateful that I had that experience because I talked to many people. I met you, right?
Yes, I love chatting with you. I really did. And that's what really brought me on and said, okay, maybe you want to come on the Unwild the podcast, maybe have a little chat because it was just so inspiring talking to you.
Oh,
And
likewise.
when you
Thank
shared
you.
some bits of your story too, that's when I felt so connected. And I was like, I understand. I completely understand what you're saying, and I feel so embraced and supported. That it was just feel like it was just that, like it was soul connection. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. I mean, when people, the guests who have been on, they said, Betsy, you have a knack of making a guest feel welcome
Yeah.
and comfortable. Um, And one guy said to me, he asked me, how long have you been doing it? And at that time, I think I was only doing it like 4 years. He goes, you sound like you've been doing this for 20. um, and he said, you're very engaging. I never saw myself the interviewer.
Hmm.
I mean, I would be totally stressed before a show.
Yeah, that happens to me.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh my goodness, what am I doing talking to this person from Harvard or Yale?
Yeah.
I'm just little, little me here in New Jersey. Um, but I did. It was a great experience. I'm really thankful. Actually, that's how I got discovered. Was Jeannie White, who was a station manager at that time, saw one of my videos, and I started talking on her show. And then she said, "You should have your own show." So
That's really
I
cool.
was, yeah, I was really shocked. It's funny because my mom saw me do one of my videos, and she said, "Betsy, when did you get like that? How did you get like that?" So, well, I guess it was always in me. I just never used my voice because I was afraid to.
Yeah.
But I was always for, I always was like a caregiver.
Hmm.
I was natural born caregiver, really. I've been caregiving since I was a child. And when I was 4 years old, my mom had a pneumonia, and I decided then, oh, I want to be a nurse. And I was a candy striper. I just loved helping people,
Yeah.
trying to fix people, which could be a problem. um, that was could be problematic because that's really you can't fix people.
No,
Mm,
no, you
they
cannot
had to
fix
do that
people.
themselves.
Yes. You can support them, you can
Right.
show them empathy, but you cannot fix anybody. For me, that was a hard lesson to learn too, because I always thought
Yeah.
that the two go hand in hand in a way. Like, if you're caring for someone, you're loving them, and if they have a problem or something that's happening, I could rescue them, but I never could.
Right. Right. And it is a hard lesson to learn. And sometimes we don't want to see what's right in front of us. We don't
No,
want to
no,
see people for who they really are. But you have to. I think. Well, I do have more self esteem now. I'm more content now in my life at 68 than I've ever been. I do go for counseling. I highly recommend that. I went for even somatic coach counseling, and it really nobody talks about caregiving, moral injury or
hmm,
PTSD, however you want to put it, that happens after caregiving and grieving. But I have come to terms that I am more content now. I mean, I'm 68.
yeah,
I don't know how much time I have left. Bible says if you make it to 70, that's a blessing. Anything after 70 is an added gift. And I just am thankful, very grateful for living life. I'm glad to be alive and pretty healthy after what I've been through. And I appreciate every day. I see the beauty of every day. Even if some days are not great, there's something to be grateful for. And I'm ever so grateful for my life of still living. So many caregivers died during caregiving or right after.
it's so hard with everything you go through. And you were caregiving for your husband for 10 years, I believe.
10 years, and I cared for his mother for 5.
And that's a long stretch of time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's rough. Losing someone is very difficult, and it took me a long, long time. I think I was just telling someone this the other day that acceptance, people. that do the best in life, and I even heard this with people I've interviewed, it's people who accept their circumstances, accept the
Yeah.
changes,
Acceptance. Yeah.
and resilient
Mm-hmm.
and positive. And I don't mean false positivity, and grateful. I could, have a pity party,
Yeah.
but that's not going to do me any good. And I've come to realize, you know what? I'm not broken. What I was experiencing was normal. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it was normal. That holiday time, which is when Matt was dying in 2019, during Christmas and between New Year's, Matt died on New Year's Day 2020, that I would have these feelings every year. And, holidays, birthdays, special occasions, and sometimes just being in a grocery store, seeing his favorite food can just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And grieving is sneaky. I call it the sneaky little witch.
Yeah.
Uh, and but I recognize it now, and I accept it, and I know, okay, this is how I'm going to feel. And the thing with loss and grieving is, I mean, depending on your relationship with that person,
Mm-hmm.
of course,
Yeah.
but if you really love someone, you're always going to love and miss them. That does not go away. And my husband was only 66. My brother, my older brother, died. He was 67.
Wow.
Life's short.
Yeah.
And I cannot let negativity take control of me anymore. I have to, and I decided I'm enjoying life. I really enjoy spending time with Josh, going to the movies because we couldn't go for 10 years together,
Yeah.
and just really enjoying just everyday living.
How were you able to? I don't want to use the word overcome because I think grief kind of always is there
Hmm.
after a loss. I don't think you ever really overcome it. So I don't want to say overcome it, but I guess accepted it and just kind of had it. What was that process like for you with the grief and acceptance?
Took a long time, Diana. I highly recommend counseling. I go for counseling. I still go for counseling, and I'm not ashamed to say it because we all need help, at some time in our lives. I was not going to let Alzheimer's win.
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's took Matt away. I was determined it was not going to defeat me. It was not going to stop me from living. And I really had to understand grieving. Now, when Matt died, there wasn't people talking about grieving like there are now.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of people talking about
Yeah.
grieving. And I have to say, I had to give a plug because I don't know if you ever heard of David Kessler. He's a trauma and grief expert, and he has great videos, great information. I learned so much from him that was so helpful. Um, you just have to learn. Yeah, you're going to love and miss that person for the rest of your life. There's no doubting that you miss their physical presence,
Mm-hmm.
and it does hurt.
Yeah.
And David Kessler says the deeper the love, the more the grief.
Yeah.
And you'll always grieve that person. It doesn't end. And you don't stop loving them. And I just know that Matt is in heaven. He's having a glorious time. And I'm going to have a good time here on earth. um, that's not to say that I don't get sad sometimes. The first year was extremely difficult
Yeah.
for me, nighttime especially. And I also blamed myself because I got blamed for everything as a child. I thought it was my fault that Matt suffered. I wanted a better hospice experience. We didn't have we had a horrible hospice experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that he suffered more because it was my fault. But I did advocate for him and I did fight for him. And then I had to learn that, it wasn't my fault and let go of that. Um, and not second guess myself. And guilt is a energy drainer,
Yes.
and it's a joy robber. It's a thief.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And that, if I did something to intentionally hurt Matt, that's one thing. But I didn't do anything intentionally to hurt him. I was trying to help him. And I almost had an epiphany, and that's your anniversary. Him saying, "Betsy, stop, just stop, and do what you're supposed to do." I'm not thinking about that. Um, I'm in heaven, having a great time. There's no need to be feeling guilty. Gotta get emotional. So, with that, with counseling and God's grace, I'm doing well.
That's inspiring. That's really inspiring to hear.
Oh, it's a rough road. It's coming off of that. Now people are talking more about caregiving. And you've been running on adrenaline. I call it the red zone, um, for so long, and that person dies. You have to readjust,
Oh, yeah.
and it's
And your
you
whole
know,
schedule, what you're used to. I mean, 10 years is a
yeah,
really long time. So there's a pattern, there's a schedule that you go through, especially since you're caring for the person. Everything you're
yeah,
doing looks completely different. And then when they pass,
mhm,
you're just on your own.
yeah,
And everything you were
and
doing is no longer. How are you
yeah.
able to cope with that?
It was hard because the person dies. You have all this paperwork to do. I call it the painful paperwork of getting the life insurance, getting their name off of
Hmm.
things. I didn't have to go to probate or anything because Matt didn't have anything in his name. Doing the plaque for the grave site, and it's also that person is not here anymore. You don't have anyone to bounce off of, of just saying, "Oh, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?" Problems happen and you're on your own. And
Yeah.
that's difficult. It's really hard to get used to. But I handled mostly everything anyway, even when Matt was alive. So it was just not having him here physically.
Hmm.
And even when with dementia, he couldn't make a decision, I still could talk to him.
Yeah.
People might think I'm a little cuckoo. I still talk to Matt. I talk to Matt every day, just like he's here.
Hmm.
And people may not believe this, but I've gotten signs from Matt, and I feel very close. I really feel that he is with me.
I believe it.
Um,
Yeah, I definitely believe it.
and
It's how I coped with grief or entwined it within myself after losing my grandmother. It was just that, believing that she's here with me and having those conversations with her and believing that there's signs from her and her presence. That was huge.
yeah,
That is huge. I still do it. It's it is what it is, and I really do believe there's something that we don't know. Maybe heaven, whatever happens, that soul lives
mhm.
on and doesn't just disappear.
I also honor Matt's memory. I post pictures. I celebrate my anniversary. I celebrate his birthday. Well, we sing happy birthday. And I've encouraged people, you know, you're with someone, whether you're married or your partner, whatever your situation is. What are you supposed to do? Just forget about that? No, if you want to celebrate your anniversary, go ahead and
Yeah.
celebrate. Why can't you remember your wedding day? Why can't you honor their birthday? And when I started doing that, then I started seeing more people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think of myself as a pioneer because I was a pioneer in getting caregivers to talk about their experience when nobody else was doing it. My friends and I, and when I started on Gina White's show interviewing caregivers, hardly anybody would want to talk. But just for people to, share their experiences, we all learn from each other.
It's a
My
necessary community support,
Yes,
as with
very important.
anything, right? Survivors need a place where they can communicate and share, and it's community. We all need that kind of community where you can be around people who can understand what you're going through.
Absolutely. When I joined Facebook 2014, I was like, oh, wow, these people understand what I'm going through. And I was even in private support groups because these people didn't want anyone to know what they really felt
Mm-hmm.
about caregiving. And I got to know so many people. And this is funny. I remember telling Matt in 2017, I said, I don't know how, but I'm going to tell your story to the world. And he would say, don't talk about me, booby. He called me booby. And a year later, I met um, Jeannie White, and that was very, um, I guess, karma how we
Mm-hmm.
met because she said she never puts on her computer in the evening, and she said I just put it on, and I came up. She said I didn't
Wow.
press anything. I just
Wow.
came up, and she saw me talking about caregiving. So I realized that there's a season for everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then when that season is over, it's time for a new season of different things to happen. And that's how I look at, I had a podcast and it was a great experience. The CEO decided to change direction. I didn't agree with it, so I left. And so that season's over. I said
Yeah.
I would do it as long as it lasted. And, I didn't realize how stressed I was doing the show. Um, but it was really a good experience and grateful for many wonderful people. Learned a lot from every guest. I learned so much. And I never thought, let me show you a picture. I don't know if you can see this. This is Matt.
Oh, a little bit. Oh, yeah, I can see. If you move it a little bit to your left. Yes. Yes, now I can see. No.
Right? Right
Yeah.
left. um, I never thought when I did videos, Diana, that it would touch so many people from all over. I, n- I never thought of that. You know, I just had to do what I had to do. Um, and I shocked myself. um, a woman today told me, she goes, Betsy, sometimes I still watch your videos. And I just had someone else tell me, oh, sometimes I still watch your videos. I never, that never crossed my mind. And when I was nominated and won the Caregiving Visionary Award, I was blown away.
Yeah. That's amazing. Congratulations. When did that
Oh, thank
happen?
you. 2021. And I dedicated it to Matt um, because Matt was my catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for Matt, I never would have went in my car. I never would have met Jeannie White. I never would have met my friend Lori Lepore. She's since passed away, but she helped me start. She encouraged me to start. Hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement, which is a support group. If anyone's out there need a support group. Um, I never saw myself as a leader. Never did I see
Yeah.
myself as a leader. And I was. So I felt like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. You know, you had the
Yeah.
power all along, you
Yeah.
just didn't know it.
Yeah.
And I also felt like a butterfly through this transformation that I became this butterfly who came out of a cocoon, a whole different person after
Mm-hmm.
caregiving and loss.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, a lot of people can't accept changes in their life. My dad used to tell me the saying, I didn't know what he meant, but I know what it means now. He'd say, Betsy, you got to roll with the punches. You got to roll with what life gives you, really. And it's hard, it's
Yeah.
not easy. And I'm a huge mental health advocate. So if anyone listening to the show, if you feel that you need help, support, go for it. It is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
Do not be ashamed. Don't make anyone else make you feel ashamed that you need to go for help. You know, people had this um, preconceived idea, especially way back when, oh,
Mm-hmm.
if you go for support, you're weak. No,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I first went for counseling when I was 16. That's in the mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
That was not something that people did, really.
Yeah.
When you're in an environment like I was, where you were made to feel ashamed because you went for help, I was called names, and I still went. That takes strength. It takes strength to say, hey, I need help.
Yeah. It
That's
does.
not
It
a
takes a
weakness.
lot of strength and courage to
Yeah,
say I need help.
it sure does. My sister used to call me names, make fun of me because I went to see a social worker when I was young. And later on, she went for counseling. So no one knows what life has in store for them. So if don't pass judgment on people if they
Yeah.
have to take you know, antidepressant or anti-anxiety. I don't take those medications. I don't put judgment on someone who does. Hey, you got to do what you got to do to get you over a hump.
Yeah.
Then do it. And I really highly recommend counseling for anyone, male, female, old, young, in between. It's never too late to better yourself, to
Oh,
change,
absolutely. You can do it
have a
at
different
any age,
attitude.
anytime. It's a process, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left. And in those 5 minutes, I wonder, do you have any message, or what would you, for the caregivers out there who are struggling, what would be some, like, a piece of advice you would give them?
Take care of yourself. Self care is a vitally important. It's literally a matter of quality of life. It's really a matter of life and death for you as a caregiver. If you want to enjoy life during and after caregiving, you must take care of yourself. I know it's not always easy, but you must do it. Go for support. Have a team. Have people that you can rely on. Go for counseling
Mm-hmm.
and do a lot of planning ahead of time, and be an advocate and learn about your loved one's disease. And if you
Yeah.
have one yourself,
Yeah.
education, very important.
Absolutely. And now you are an Alzheimer's advocate.
Yes, yes. It still amazes me when people think, oh, that's an old people's disease. Oh, that's a normal part of aging. No, it is not a normal part of aging. And you could get any kind of dementia at any time. There's many different types of dementia. The most well known is Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
Uh, Matt was 56 when he was diagnosed.
That is young. He was
And
young.
back then they did not want to say, they didn't know about early onset, young onset. And I had to fight for diagnosis, and I had to fight for him all the way through until even at the end of life, dignity care
Yeah.
at the end of life. And if you feel in your gut that the doctor's not right, don't be afraid to question them. Don't be afraid to go for second opinion.
Hmm. I think that's so important.
Um, yes, yes, and there's so many different support groups out there. There's the caregiver now has such an advantage that I didn't have because there's some more support. There's so many caregiving podcasts out there. There's so many caregiving groups, free seminars. There's just a lot of information out there now.
Yeah.
And people are sharing their experiences, and I'm happy about that.
So for anyone that's listening and for the last couple of minutes, I'm wondering if you can tell them how they can connect with you, find your groups, where can people find?
Sure, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm on Facebook, my personal page, Betsy E Wurzel, Wurzel. And I'm on LinkedIn. And my support group is on Facebook, hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. And I named it that because I was going to kick Alzheimer's ass or it was going to kick mine.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother subject of how I came up with that. But, you kick it by enjoying life, by living life and not letting Alzheimer's control you to a certain extent.
Hmm.
You still have to enjoy life, and I welcome everyone's welcome in my group. Um, all dementia doesn't discriminate, and neither do I. So, if you are gay, transgender, bisexual, whatever you are, male, female, whatever ethnic group, everyone is welcome.
That's amazing.
Thank you. So
You're
I
you're
just want people to know that.
Yeah, no, you're truly inspiring. Your story is so inspiring, and everything you've been through is so inspiring. And for you to sit here and just continue to inspire because you're thriving, you're loving your life right now, and that is the inspiration.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Diana, for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on.
And your
Thank you.
story was very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Well,
You're
thank you
welcome. Bye
so
bye.
much. Thank you for anyone that was tuning in. Betsy, have a great evening.